Welcome to Her Unscripted episode 8. Today I have a special guest, Kessey, who I had the pleasure of meeting through an interview, and now she works with me. I find her very intriguing, and I'm excited to share with you guys why I find her so intriguing. Welcome. I think we're just going to dive right into it. So when I think of Kessey, I think wellness, obviously, but also because you're the wellness specialist with us. What got you into wellness?
So I started getting to wellness in high school. I took weightlifting as a class, and I found it very interesting, like how the muscles worked, and I always admired like muscles. So I started kind of like getting interested. How do I get there? Like, do I have to work out? What do I have to eat? And then I had a friend in high school who was also very interested in that. And we started doing it together. So we started looking into, you know, going to the gym and what do we kind of workouts do we have to do. But then you're not only working out, but you also having to eat properly. And then I started looking into and researching recipes. How do I make like this fat food healthy? So I started like tweaking a whole bunch of things. So that's what really got me into it. And then obviously I started looking into like the whole like vitamins and wellness, as in like, you know, mental wellness as well. So that's what kind of like where I started. It was mainly high school, but then I just started developing that.
Gosh, that's early.
Yes.
Did you watch your body transform?
I did. Many times.
Yeah?
Yes.
Because I bet at that stage, like, especially going from nothing to lifting, like, you're probably, were you your leanest?
I wasn't my leanest, actually. So I played sports when I was younger, and then in Brazil. And then when I moved here, I didn't play many sports for some reason. I don't know. It's just like the adaptation, I guess, and like how the schooling here works. So I didn't. And then in high school, I started the weightlifting, and that's when I really saw my body change. And it was pretty cool. And then I was like, wow, I can do this. If I can do this, anybody can do this. Or I would look at people who were very, you know, toned and athletic. Athletic, I think, is more what I was looking for. And I was like, well, if they can do it, I can do it too.
Wow, yeah.
And that's how it started.
You want to laugh? This just reminded me of something. The first time I worked out, I was in 8th grade. And my mom was very strict, and she didn't let me, we weren't allowed to sleep in. And I moved here 8th grade. And I was the only kid at home that started school an hour and like 15 minutes later than everyone. So, and she's really a clean freak, like hardcore. So I'd have to wake up with my siblings, and then she knew she was going to leave me at home. She didn't want me to sleep. So the rule was I had to clean before I left. So I'd have to vacuum the house and clean the bathrooms.
Before going to school?
Yeah, because she didn't want me to like be lazy and sleep in. Or I convinced her, what if I work out? Because I want to use that time to work out. So I'd leave when she'd leave, and I'd go on a run. And I would never run. I'd just walk. And then when she'd drive by, I'd pretend I was running. That was my...
That's how you started? Trying to get away from cleaning the house?
Yeah, literally. And then food. How did you get into clean eating?
So it was during that period. It was like in my 20s. I used to eat like really bad early. Like, you know, you're a teenager. You eat all the pizzas and burgers and fries. And then when we started getting to this whole thing, like working out thing, my friend and I started like trying to modify the foods. At one point it got too much. Like I would go to the supermarket and take me hours to finish my shopping because I was reading all the labels, and that wasn't healthy. At that point I'm like, okay, we can't go like that. But then I started just like thinking, how can I make like a healthy pizza, or how can I make a healthy burger? And that's when it started. Like, and then I started making all these modifications and trying to make things different. And I loved baking cakes, and I love cakes. And that's, I think, like one of the, I had a Instagram called Cake Me Fit. And that started because I started baking the healthy, high protein cakes. And my friends kept asking me for recipes. So everything I would make, they would ask me for recipes, and I was just sending individually to everyone. And I was like, you know what? This is very tiring. Like, I can't keep sending individually. I'm just going to do this Instagram and post it there. And then that became a thing, because then
how fun.
People started becoming interested in it. And then I was like, okay, so maybe I can play around with some more recipes. And then that's when I started the whole food thing.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you did boxing for a while.
I did.
And CrossFit.
And CrossFit. And I used to run. And I swim. And Olympic diving. I did a little bit of everything.
Wow.
And I think mainly, and I try to think, like, why did I do so many, not stick to one? Because for me, it was the challenge. I wanted to know that I could do that. Once I achieved it, like, I was like, okay, I can try something else now. Like, what else can I try that it's hard and and I can do it?
So once you hit a certain point.
Huh?
Once you hit a certain point, you switch.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did. The boxing I loved, and I wanted to keep going with it, but then I wanted to protect the face too. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
Because you were starting to get competitive with boxing.
I was. Well, I actually didn't. I probably would have gone a little further if I wasn't considered a master's to do a fight. And then when I found out I couldn't get the license to do like except for that, I was like, okay, maybe that's a sign.
And then from what did you start doing?
From boxing, I started, what did I do after boxing? I started just lifting for a while, and then high rocks.
Oh, yeah. And are you going to do more high rocks now?
I am. Okay. I am.
It's still a thing for you.
It is. No, it's a new thing.
Yeah.
It's a very new thing. So yes, I'm planning on doing more.
You met my brother at the boxing gym.
I did.
So what was really intriguing is he came to visit after he started working with me for a few months, and I introduced you to him, and you turn around and he sees your tattoos on your arms.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know you.
Yes.
And he didn't remember where he met you, but he remembered that impactful stories behind your tattoos.
He was so funny. He remembered the meaning of it.
Yes.
He really did. Yes.
And what's funny is I remember him coming home one day saying, oh my God, I met this girl and she has these tattoos, and I remember him explaining, I don't remember the exact stories, but it like resonated with him.
Yeah, it was very interesting when he remembered. I was like, wow, I didn't think, like, sometimes I even forget. No, I don't. But, like, you know, like, you don't think about it. Yeah, but that was pretty cool that he remembered.
So tell me about your tattoos.
So there are 3 lines, and each represent a stage of my life that felt like a complete cycle. So I moved here when I was 13, and that wasn't my choice. So it was because my parents wanted to move, so we moved. But then it came a time, I was in my 20s. I was, I think, 24. I started feeling like I didn't want to be here anymore. But not because I didn't like being here, it's because I needed to experience more. So I was like, okay, so I think like whatever I had to learn from here now, that's it, and I need more. So then I moved to London, and I went to university in London. So I lived there for 6 years, 5.5, 6 years. And then towards the end, I felt the same thing. I'm like, there's more I gotta experience. There's more about myself that I need to learn, and it's not here. So then that cycle for me had closed, and then I moved back to Brazil, and I hadn't been in Brazil since I was
So how
13.
old were you when you moved back to Brazil?
I was 29, 30.
And your family stayed here?
My family always stayed here in the States. So I moved, and it was against my family's.
I bet. I'm guessing all the moves were against them.
Yes, okay. Yes, all of them were. Especially like South American family, you know how they're so tight.
Yeah.
And so then I went to Brazil, And it's like I felt it, like I feel deep in my heart when these moves happen. Like I felt it. I'm like, you have to go, you have to go. And so I did, and I wanted to kind of like become more Brazilian because I left, I was so young, and I was like, and my friends used to call me gringa, and I'm like, but I'm not, I'm fully like 100% Brazilian. Both of my parents are Brazilian. So then I moved to Brazil. And moved to Brazil. I went to São Paulo first. I lived there for, I want to say like 3 years. Then I moved to Rio, which is my favorite place in the world, one of my favorite places in the world. And I moved to Rio, stayed there for 2.5 years. And then again, I had that like feeling that that was it. Brazil is no longer good for me. I have to go somewhere else.
And now how old are you when you're feeling
I was 35, 36.
Is it like every 6 years?
I never thought about like how long, but maybe, yeah, okay. It sounds like it's around that. Hope I don't want it to happen again. I think I'm settled now.
You're stuck here. Give me a heads up, please.
No, I don't think it's happening again. And so when I decided to move back from Brazil to the States, that's when the tattoo came to me. Like I wanted to have those 3 cycles, like, you know, somewhere in me, like to remember. And I remember, so I called my tattoo artist. He would not do it. He would not do it because apparently it's a hard tattoo to do because you have to...
Like a perfect circle.
Yes. So he wouldn't do it. And then I called 2 other places and they wouldn't do it. I'm like, but I really want it. I would go to sleep thinking about it and I would wake up thinking about it. And so I was walking on the street I lived on, and then there was like a tattoo place, like very random, like tattoo place. So I walked in there and I said to the guys like, hey, I want to get this tattoo, but I didn't even say nobody would do it. I was like, would you do it? He looked at me and he goes, I bet you tried and nobody would do it for you, right?
Oh my God.
And I said, how do you know? He's like, it's very hard to do what you want. But he's like, let me figure it out. And he did. And he figured out how he was going to do it. And then he did.
Wow.
Yeah, and they came perfect.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so that's what they are. Wow. So 3 very like distinct and very like strong
moments in your life.
Yes.
So you haven't moved since you came back from Brazil?
So I moved to Bali for 3 months.
Really? You're so cool.
So I came back. I dropped my things off at my parents. And I said, okay, I'm going to go travel in Southeast Asia. So
I'm just imagining your parents wanting to kill you.
My mom. My dad was very supportive. He's like, yes, you do that. If you really want to, that's what you should do. My dad always supported me to do anything I wanted. So I was like, okay. And then, so I went. And I was supposed to only stay there for a month. And I kept delaying my flight. And then I had met this guy in Brazil on the beach. I was at the beach and he was teaching this little boy how to surf. And I asked him to teach me and he said, I will. He gave me his number and then he said, just text me and we'll get some lessons sorted. I was like, okay. So like 3 months later, a friend of mine asked me, she's like, so did you contact that guy to teach you? I was like, you know what? I forgot. Let me look for his phone. And then I looked. I couldn't remember his name. And so I couldn't remember his name. But one day I remember it was a different name. So I was showering and I was like, oh, I remember the guy's name. So I texted him and he said, text me back in a couple of months because I'm in Bali. And I was like, okay. So that's when the Bali thing kind of started, right? It was back then. And then when before I left Brazil, I texted him and I was like, hey, are you back? And he's like, no, I'm in Bali. Come to Bali and I'll teach you here. And I was like, okay. So I was like, okay, I can go, like, I wanted to go, like, somewhere else anyways. Like, let me just go to Bali, learn how to surf. So then I went to Bali, but when I went, I met my former assistant was in Thailand. So then I went to Thailand, met her there, stayed a few days with her. Then I went to Bali and met with the guy who was supposed to teach me how to surf. And we became like family. We became brothers and sisters.
Wow.
Yes. And then so I had him there who I knew, but then I started meeting a whole bunch of other people. And I started traveling with other people like to different, so I went to Vietnam, I went to Malaysia, to Laos. I did the whole of Vietnam. That was very cool. So I kept just like traveling and meeting people. So then I went back to Bali, and then I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna stay here. I was going to start my health coaching course. And I called my mom. I was like, hey, Mom, can you send me my computer and some of my things? I'm going to stay here for a year. Hangs up the phone on me. Then hangs up the phone on me. Then my dad calls me and he's like, Kessey, can you please come home? Your mom's freaking out. You came back. You dropped your things here and then you left. So he's like, come back home. And then if you really want to go back to Bali, then you go back to Bali. So I was like, okay, fine. So I came back for my family.
And then how'd you feel when you came back?
I wanted to have stayed in Bali, but when I came back, I knew why I came back. It was my family, so I just enjoyed and I just decided that, okay, it's time to spend time with my family. So.
You probably were like fulfilled technically to be able to stay, because you don't seem like, I mean, based on your history, you don't seem like anyone can like force you to stay anywhere.
No, and I was happy to come back. I was happy. Then I thought back. I was like, okay, if I had stayed in Bali, I would probably be a little bit bored, I want to say. Not that it's boring to be there, but it's just a very chill life. And I think I would have craved more things, like especially like work-wise.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And during that time, like, talk to me about relationships.
Relationships were tough.
During the time?
After it started in London, right? I had relationships when I was younger here, but then when I went to London, I was very, like, I had to become very independent. And I had to do everything for myself, right? I had friends there, but I didn't have a family there. And I just always thought, I have to do this myself, right? I didn't allow me to miss anybody. Like I kind of like toughen up a bit. So I met my ex-fiance there. He's English. And it was a great relationship in the beginning. And then it started becoming a little bit not so great. He used to own, he still does own clubs and bars. So he had this nightlife and unhealthy, should I say, life that it didn't align with me. But I loved him and I thought I was going to marry him. But those things that started happening, like that nightlife, like alcohol, drugs, and, late nights, started not becoming so attractive to me. So relationships started not going well. And
did you end it when you moved? Is that
what
triggered the move? Or?
No, we ended a year before I moved. So yes. So that's when it kind of started, like, I started having to be even tougher, I guess. So anyways, we ended the relationship. He cheated on me. We ended the relationship. So that was like a scar, right? So after this, you're like, okay, you can't trust men. Have to be tough. And I'm pretty much doing these things on my own. I always had like family support, but I never relied on that, even though they always made it so available to me. So then that was the end of that relationship. And the year after, I moved to Brazil. So I moved to Brazil, and this energy of like, I have to do everything on my own. I can't allow anybody to help me or like do anything for me. So I started not dating, but kind of like seeing a guy. And he was the one who made me realize that I was very independent and I emasculated men.
Oops.
So I remember like him trying to help me grab like groceries and stuff.
I could see it.
And I'm like, no, you don't have to. I can do it myself. And so like it was everything like I would do it myself. Like I would go out on dates and I would pay for it too. Like the guys just sitting there, especially like South American guys, and like there's so machismo. There's the machismo. Like they're so like So then I became that was like a very like strong part of me. Like I had to prove that I could do things myself, and then I didn't need any man or anybody. So I started doing therapy.
Good. I'm glad.
And it took a while. It took a while for me to learn to be more feminine. And people would look at me and they would think that I was feminine, but then I started acting like not so feminine.
You are a very feminine girl, like
but
in general.
This is now. This is now, I think. And I also like the working out. I always worked out really hard, so that part as well.
It gives you this like strength.
Yes.
Like, I can do it.
Yes, exactly. Like, can you imagine like all these, like, I remember I was carrying boxes from IKEA and this guy was like, let me help you with it. I'm like, no. And I'm like picking up the heaviest part. I can do this.
Kind of sounds like me.
Yeah, and then I became really good friends with him and I asked him, I'm like, so what happens? He's like, Kessey, you're very independent. I'm like, but isn't that a good thing? He's like, not really, not when it comes to men. Like, that's not really. But doesn't mean you have to, that you can be independent. No, it's just the way that you do it, I guess. You know,
That's so funny.
Yes, you just gotta let men be men and you be a woman. Being strong woman, that is fine, completely fine, but let them be men.
That's so funny. So what's the first relationship you got into where after you started therapy and working on like that feminine energy?
That it worked or it didn't work?
No, I mean, I guess where you started practicing it, which I'm guessing it didn't work initially because...
No, yeah. So I dated this guy, but then I guess like I hadn't understood like that being feminine didn't mean like, that being feminine didn't mean like accepting everything, right? You don't have to just accept anything and everything to be feminine. And even though I was trying with this guy, he would tell me as well that I was very independent. And he there was a word he used. What was it? That it was almost like men are a little bit not afraid, but they're taken back by me in a way. And I'm like, how? I'm so friendly. Like I smile. I'm friendly. I'm talkative. So approachable. And he's like, it's not that. It's like the energy. And so even though I thought I was being feminine in this relationship, I wasn't completely. And I was just, I guess, like accepting things I didn't have to, thinking that that was being feminine. But then after that big fail again, I started dating my husband. And for naturally with him, I learned. But there was no pressure either. It's not like I was thinking about it either. It just naturally happened. And I think part of it, like the man has to allow you to be feminine as well.
That's what I was gonna say. I think you became more masculine and independent, which is they're hard words to intertwine because like you said, you can be independent and feminine.
Yes.
Because of a male that was in your life and how he treated you and how he behaved. So you had to like put your guard up and become very masculine and protect yourself.
Yes.
And then you come across someone who made you feel safe and feminine.
Yeah. And I think the safe is a big thing. And that's probably one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
When you feel safe, then you let your guard down. And you're just yourself.
Yeah.
And maybe like deep inside, I was always like very feminine, but because I had all these guards up, like, and felt like I had to protect myself.
And you're a lover, like you fall in love.
Yes.
So I'm imagining that first relationship that kind of, impacted you so much. I'm imagining the Kessey in love that I'm imagining right now. Like you give it your all.
Yes.
Your all, everything. That's your life.
Yeah.
In a positive way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I met you. You had just started dating your husband. I had interviewed you.
Yes. Wasn't it 3 months, I think?
I thought it was a month.
Maybe it was a month.
You guys were dating
yes,
for
it was
just
a month. Yes. That's right.
Yeah, because I remember like intentionally not asking you about your relationship. One, because I try not to be invasive, like as an employer, like, you know, unless someone wants to share. But relationships come and go. Like you're dating for a month, so I'm not going to ask you like, hey. But yeah.
Yes, that's true. It was a month. Yes.
But I'm sure with women we're different, but you gave off a very just peaceful and feminine energy about your life.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
And it became more and more, like the deeper you got into your relationship.
And I think it's really because he allowed me to be that way. He really did. Like, and it's not, I never had to overthink with him. And I don't know if it's because it started off as a friendship. And when you're friends, like you just, I think you're more yourself than when you're, instantly like going on dates and things like that. I think there's already a front that you put in a way, or I don't know.
I think he's also a confident man, and he's a good person, and and you are obviously, so it allows that.
Yeah. No, I think that a lot of men that I dated that I thought were confident weren't as confident as he is.
Yeah, I'm imagining the person that you're talking about. Like comes off very confident.
Yes, but not necessarily truly confident.
Yeah.
And with him, I was like, wow, this guy is like very like genuine, and he's very confident, but like confident, not cocky confident. He's like, he walks around and he's just confident. Like he doesn't need to prove himself to anybody. Like he's just him. And that I think is one of the main things that attracted me to him first. At first, it was that. I'm like,
I can imagine.
Yeah, I was like, wow, look at that. He doesn't really care about what people think, or about anything. Like he's just living his life and he's happy, and
that's so nice.
Yeah, and I think that he allowed me. I'm sure. Like he allowed me to be me, and he never made me feel like I had to change, for him.
Do you feel like there's because most of your adult life, you dated non-Americans.
Yes.
I know this is so bad and such a generalization, but we've touched on this before.
Yes.
There's a difference.
There is a difference.
And especially the confidence and like treating a woman a certain way.
Yes, there's a huge difference. Other men I dated, being masculine didn't mean, for them, I guess, like meant that they couldn't be so loving.
Yeah.
As well. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
That's what I realized. That's what from my experience, at least.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah, I love hearing about you've shared with me more now than we've ever had the chance to talk about. But I've always felt like you've had so many experiences every time we tapped into like a topic. So it's very interesting to hear about it.
I think I throw myself at things too, because
Yeah, you really did. Like throughout your life.
Yeah.
Like I consider myself in tune with my body, but I think on a physical and like wellness level, like I get so affected by like food and vitamins and this and that and how I feel. But like you emotionally, you're very in tune. And I think you trust your gut a lot, which is
I do.
so cool.
Yeah.
I always struggled with that.
See, that, I think maybe I got that from my dad, I think. I don't know. But I always, like, if I feel something really deep that I want to try, I think, like, if I don't try, I'm always going to, like, think about this. What if?
That's so
and
cool.
I never want it to be like a what if. Like, if I strongly feel like I want to try something, let's do it. And you know what? It's okay to fail. If it doesn't work out, whatever, you come back from that, you know, and then you try something else.
You're so right.
And if you don't do things, you're going to grow old thinking, okay, what if I had done that? And, you know, time goes by so fast too. If you wait for things as well, then you miss it.
Gosh, you're so right. Thank you. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me here. I love it.
Love it.